my game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. It's gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3.
Finish.
Lamar Jackson is a quarterback that's beating all of those dudes. Yeah. He's beating all of those dudes. So in order to win a championship, you need that guy in order to get out of the AFC. My biggest problem with Baltimore is they wouldn't have this situation with the guaranteed contract if they had signed Lamar when he was first eligible for a contract extension. He won an MVP in year 2. He won a road playoff game in year 3. All you had to do was pay him before the Cowboys paid Dak Prescott, before the Browns paid Deshaun Watson, and you wouldn't be in this situation. So this is of their own making. The only way to make it right is to give the man the bag he's asking for.
Absolutely.
Period.
Marcus, getting set to go.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these 2 words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much I have you doing what it meant to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa. Boss forever like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop 1,000,000 songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Thinking to myself, G, the level of disrespect that the Ravens are operating with is offensive. And I'm not even Lamar Jackson. It is offensive. Think about this. We're going to default to the franchise tag for a guy that's won an MVP, that's won a road playoff game, and that's 25 years old. When this dude decided that he was going to put it on the line for us coming into a season where he had no financial security beyond 2022. Why would you then say, well, we're going to franchise tag you? I think that's just going to make it a more contentious relationship. And as this continues to go on, I think the door gets opened a little bit more for Lamar Jackson to walk out of it.
Welcome back to Kicking It with Saint. Lamar Jackson just requested a trade. Well, actually, he requested a trade the day before my birthday. He requested a trade on the 2nd of March. He put out a letter to his fans on Twitter. I was going to say Facebook. On Twitter. And from reading it, it's basically, I don't think Lamar would throw another pass for the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't think he would play another snap for the Ravens anyways. If you've listened to the show, first off, I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope everybody's having a great day, great afternoon, great night, whatever point in time you're listening to this. If you've been listening to me, you already know how I felt about the Lamar Jackson Ravens situation. And we're going to address a lot of things in this show today. I don't know how long the show going to go. I've been trying to cut the shows down to around 20, 30 minutes and whatnot, but sometimes shows got to go longer than, that time frame. And you just got to hope that fans decide to stick around and listen throughout the whole thing. You got to try to keep them engaged through what you're saying and things of that nature. That's the test. But sometimes it's impossible to cut shows down to a certain length when there's so much information that has to be said and spoken on. And so today's episode about Lamar Jackson, I just released an episode about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens over the weekend about why it's so hard for people to hold the Ravens accountable for the things that done went left in this relationship with Lamar Jackson. But I'm so happy that we find ourselves here, and I'm so happy that Lamar Jackson finally decided to request a trade or go public with his request of a trade. Because I would have done it, if I was Lamar Jackson, I would have requested a trade probably 2 years ago. Definitely would have requested a trade at the beginning of this season. I would have played, but I definitely would have requested a trade. It's funny to me how people decide to break. I mean, you done seen everything in this Lamar Jackson, how people done reported it and things of that nature. But before we get into all this buffoonery that surrounded the Lamar Jackson situation, what I want people to understand is this. This is a dude who was drafted 32nd in the draft in the first round. You know the reports that was around Lamar Jackson coming out of college. Everybody was saying, oh, he should play receiver. Hall of Fame GMs was saying that. All the work he had put in to play receiver, and he was already being prejudged, so told that he could not do said things. It's prospects that are white quarterbacks to come into the NFL far less talented and far less accomplished than Lamar had came into the NFL, and they are not asked to trade to move to a different position. But that is neither here nor there. Lamar Jackson had proven in college that he was a NFL-ready quarterback. He played in the pro-style offense. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He didn't have the talent that all these other teams had when he was at Louisville, which seems to be a consistent thing with Lamar Jackson. He is a talent that rises all tides, but eventually if you understand football like people say they do, you realize it's a team sport, and it don't matter how great that player you have running the show. If you don't have the pieces around him, then you do not win. It is as simple as that. Lamar Jackson didn't have superstars around his offense in Louisville. Still lifted Louisville, still won a Heisman Trophy. He didn't have the talent in Baltimore. Still consistently an MVP candidate. Still is a unanimous MVP. Still carry Baltimore to a top team as a top team every year. He did everything right. Come to the OTAs. He come to the practices. He spend time with his teammates. He a great player off the field, great on the field. You say if you don't have all the pieces around your quarterback, you want the quarterback to be able to raise the talent around him. He has done that every single year of his career. He done gotten better every single year of his career. He's done everything you couldn't ask a franchise quarterback to do. And now you fast forward it and the Ravens don't want to pay him. But the Ravens not wanting to pay him is not even one of the biggest issues I have with this situation. Because I said all of that. I regurgitated all that. The Ravens know that information. I wanted to make fans aware of that situation just in case fans don't understand all the things that has happened. Fans always preach and yell and bitch and moan that they want players like what Lamar Jackson has displayed in Baltimore. But yeah, it's the fans in Baltimore, a lot, not all of them, but it's now the fans telling you that Lamar Jackson not worth this. He not worth it. This is a dude who played out the entirety of his rookie contract. Name another franchise quarterback that we know for a fact is a franchise quarterback that is forced to play out the entirety of a rookie contract and not given an extension after the first 3 or 2 years or as soon as they are eligible. The Ravens could have done that with Lamar. They let him play out a full rookie contract. He is now able to negotiate a contract. Why are fans mad about that? Why are fans bitching about that? He did everything right. If you mad about somebody, logically you should be mad at the team. But for some reason, fans choose to get mad at Lamar. Because see, they realize the team can't get on the field and play and win these games. They know only Lamar can do that. So instead of being mad at the team that allowed this situation to get to this point, you decide to take your blame and your anger and your frustration out on Lamar Jackson. I saw a dude today say, that was a Raven fan, say, good riddance to Lamar. Let's hurry up and get his ass out of here. How stupid can you be? And this should show you that it's no such thing as being a good guy in the NFL or in sports. Because Lamar Jackson has been a good guy. He done did everything the right way. And at the end of the day, because the media is allowed to make heroes and villains, he was still painted as the villain. You still got analysts like Tim Hasselback getting on TV yelling, oh, Lamar Jackson is a terrible businessman. You got, the Mike Florials of the world All these, every analyst you got on TV get to get on TV and shade Lamar Jackson. The fans get to buy it and eat it all up. But you don't get mad at the billionaire team for not paying the quarterback when he should have been paid. You don't get mad at the billionaire team for not putting the proper pieces around him. But they could go out here and lie to you, and the media can continue to yell, oh, they built this team around Lamar Jackson. I said it multiple times. Tell me the Pro Bowl talent on that team not named Mark Andrews, who they did not draft in the first or second round. And he was in the same draft as Lamar. He was drafted to help Joe Flacco, and they also took Hayden Hurst before they took Lamar. Those two tight ends weren't drafted to help Lamar Jackson. But sure, they lucked up. And Mark Andrews ended up being a stud. Now, name me the other player that they actually had to go out and get to help Lamar Jackson since he became that dude. The age of guys they signed. They just signed Nelson Aguilar. And you surprised and you mad at Lamar Jackson for requesting a trade. But Lamar Jackson sat back and he watched Joe Burrow play with Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. This is a team that already had Boyd and Higgins. They didn't have to draft Jamar Chase. There was other needs on that team. They said we got to get our quarterback, make sure he got the weapons. He on a rookie contract. We can afford to do this. And they did it. Now, it's people out there who are going to say, well, Lamar Jackson, they gave him Marquise Brown. At one point in time, so let me put it to you like this. If I go out and get a receiver, matter of fact, if any other team go out and get a receiver, and the receiver end up being a good receiver, decent receiver, but not a number one game-changing receiver, do you then say, oh, the team messed up? Or do you say, well, they got him for him? Or do you just acknowledge that that player wasn't what you wanted him to be, what he wasn't what you thought he'd be, and the team messed up right there? Because for some reason, just because Lamar and Hollywood is friends, people keep saying, well, Lamar wanted him. How does that excuse the fact that that was not? And it's very funny to me that you yell Lamar wanted him, but all the other dudes that Lamar wanted, a superstar receiver, they don't go get him, and I don't hear y'all bitching about that. Because now the Buffalo Bills is in conversation, possibly. They could land DeAndre Hopkins. If the Buffalo Bills go get DeAndre Hopkins to match up with Stephon Diggs, then what will be your excuse for Baltimore? The Bears have went out and got DJ Moore. They was willing to trade to get DJ Moore. What is your excuse for the Ravens still? So you blame Lamar for not accepting this contract that the Ravens offer him. And matter of fact, before we even get to the contract, another thing that y'all do, the injuries. I never heard anybody talk about how the Ravens was paying him. They was being hella cheap with Lamar and forcing him to do all, and had him doing all the shit that they was having him do on a yearly basis. When Lamar was doing all these explosive plays, running and carrying the team, and we was getting all these wins because of him, I didn't hear nobody bring up the fact that they ain't paying this man nothing, really. I didn't hear nobody bring up the fact that the Ravens should have paid him a contract by now. I didn't hear nobody say the Ravens is doing Lamar dirty by not paying him yet. I didn't hear nobody say the Ravens should go ahead and lock Lamar Jackson up, seeing as how he done what he's done for this franchise. Because I know what the Ravens were before Lamar got there. Hell, I know what they were when he got there until he started for him. But let's act like Lamar is the bad guy in this situation. Because Baltimore, like I said, could have locked him up. And it's wild to me that now they can't give him his value. Fans keep trying to tell him what he worth. But you never told me that the Ravens was fucked up for not paying this dude when he was doing all that shit on a rookie contract. I never once heard somebody say he underpaid. But as soon as it's time for an athlete to get paid, specifically a black athlete, now they overpaid. Now they asking for too much. Now they not worth what they asking for. But when I look at the fact that Lamar Jackson done had this Ravens team as a top offense in the NFL, and I look at what they do, and I love it how people bring up this history of Baltimore. Oh, well, you know, they won without Lamar Jackson. They can win without him again. That's very funny because you keep telling me they was winning with Flacco. And I watched those Flacco seasons. They got one Super Bowl out of that. And you keep telling me they won with defense. They did not win that Super Bowl with defense. They had weapons on that team and they won it with offense. They won that first one with defense. And to celebrate a team that's done won 2 Super Bowls in this history with so many years actively is just, to me, feels so cheap. But I'm not surprised because these are the type of shots they throw at dudes like Lamar Jackson when he out there trying to get his money. Now it's, oh, he don't got an agent. Oh, he got some clown negotiating for him. It's so funny to me how it's easy for dudes like Chris Sims and all these other analysts to throw dirt on Lamar Jackson. As if they were in the same situation, they wouldn't try to do what's best for them. But it's so easy to judge and go with the establishment. I loved it when I saw RG3 call out Tim Hasselbeck yesterday and say, Tim is speaking for the machine. Yes, that is a fact. For the man. That is a fact. But it just baffles me that fans do it too. Because you wouldn't do this if you was in this situation. You wouldn't view it like this if you or a loved one, a child was in this situation. But for some reason, you look at these athletes and say, I could care less about them. I just want them to play, entertain me. They make enough money. Lamar Jackson put his body on the line for the Baltimore Ravens for the first 5 years of his career. They did not choose to give him an extension, a raise, or nothing like that. But now when it's time to pay him, he is the unreasonable one. He the one who need an agent because he's not negotiating this right. No, the Ravens should have paid this dude. Because what quarterback come into a system, especially last year, after not being paid? We saw what Kyler did. But Lamar Jackson, who better than Kyler, better than Deshaun. I don't even have to go through the list of all the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, the top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And the Ravens know that. That's why they didn't use and abuse him the way they have the last couple years. That's why they've been allowed to be cheap over the last couple years by only employing Mark Andrews as a weapon. It's quarterbacks who are nowhere near as good as Lamar Jackson who have been littered with talent on their offense. But the Ravens choose to be cheap on a yearly basis. And I never see nobody bring that up. People done started bringing that up. And shout out to Warren on Twitter, man. He constantly on down the Ravens' throats, bro. Constantly. I think his name is Warren Sharp. He constantly going at the Ravens on Twitter because somebody got to. Because I hate that a talent like Lamar Jackson has done everything right. Oh, it's a business. I don't care that it's a business. He's still done everything right. This is proof that this business is a dirty, flawed one. That they can make the rules as they go. Because we were told that if you do everything right, they pay you, and they still did not pay this man. And what's so baffling to me, not even baffling, it just really pisses me the fuck off, is that you look at Lamar Jackson, what he done with this Raven team. And if you take him out of this situation, you put Josh Allen in this situation, give him the exact same results. The question in this situation would not be, does Josh Allen need an agent? It would be, how come the Baltimore Ravens have come up short in surrounding Josh Allen with talent? But because this is a black quarterback for some reason, y'all got a problem saying it. All last year, all I heard was, oh, Jalen Hurts not that good. He just got talent around him. But I ain't heard none of you motherfuckers come out and say, well, it might not be Joe Burrow. He got 3 number 1s around him. No. It's never that. It's always, oh, it's Joe Burrow. But you got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who ain't had talent on the outside yet, who ain't had a consistent running back yet, who ain't had a good pass blocking offensive line yet. And it's all on him. I saw you motherfuckers bitching about Justin Herbert not having talent. But it's all on Lamar. I told you, these analysts don't watch games. They get on TV and they just spew shit. They see replays, they listen to what other people say, and they just spew shit. Lamar Jackson is a franchise quarterback. He's done every single thing you want your franchise quarterback to do within the confines of what one can do. Winning a Super Bowl is a team accomplishment. and you keep blaming Lamar, but you keep letting the Ravens get away with coming up short. I'm not saying don't critique Lamar when there's things to be critiqued. No player is above being critiqued. Y'all not critiquing Lamar. And when you choose to call what you doing critiquing, where is that same energy for the Ravens? I don't get it. You knew the toll would become due. But like I said, I didn't hear none of y'all walking around saying, oh, Lamar Jackson underpaid when he was carrying this team. Now that it's time to pay him, oh, injury prone. He can't do this. He can't do that. Oh, he need an agent. Oh, he asking for too much. It's a dude right now who had multiple sexual assault misconduct cases against him, who signed, and all of them weren't even solved before he signed for the most guaranteed money in NFL history. But Lamar Jackson, a dude that's done everything right. And it's quite frankly just straight up better than Deshaun Watson. Can't get that contract. Can't even sniff it. And you want to know what's so amazing? If you a Lamar Jackson, because if you any human being in a situation where you feel like you've been more than grateful, you've done your part, you've done more than your part with what you've been given to work with, you helped build up this thing when you saw this thing sinking when you got in there. And now they don't want to pay you. And now they're giving you every reason as to why you don't deserve to be paid or why they can't pay you this and that. And you looking around like, damn, I'm still frying the best omelets in the world with pans that I had 5 years ago when I first started here. Y'all make enough money to get us new pans. The spatulas and shit still old. The sink rusted. The floors is not been replaced. Tiles coming up and shit like that. I'm breaking my ass in this kitchen for y'all. And I've seen no rewards. And I've never bitched about it. I've been a team player because that's what they kept telling me to do. Be a team player. So I got on the back of those trucks and I lifted those boxes even though I saw that nobody else was doing it the way I had to do it. I saw that y'all was building a legacy off of me. I saw y'all was making bread off of me. I didn't say nothing about it because I said to myself, they'll eventually pay me. The toll will be due. They'll gracefully pay me and give me what I'm owed. And then when it's time to pay you, they say, oh, well, sometimes the egg's a little burnt. Sometimes, you don't really clean things as much as we'd like you to clean them. Sometimes you don't move as fast unloading these boxes as we'd like you to. You played that key pretty good, but you miss a couple notes. They ain't as sharp sometimes. But wait a minute. You didn't say none of that when I was bringing you in all this bread. When the house was stacked, packed out, lines around the building, merch flying off the shelf. I didn't hear any of these complaints then. None of that mattered because your pockets and bellies was getting full off of my hard work. And now, because you got the power to manipulate the media and the fans, you choose to take that route. This should show you that in sports, even when you bust your ass, they can still try to screw you and tell you, look you right in your face and tell you, you don't deserve what you're asking for. And fans agree with it. Because you get on here or you get on Twitter and you defend these teams all the time. I told you, it's dudes who I watch on YouTube at times that are clowns to me. I done named a lot of different clowns. Bobby Trossett is a clown. Like, it's so many clown individuals on these platforms that's coming to bat for the Ravens, just guzzling their balls in their mouth. And it's just unbelievable to me. Like, and to all those bozo, moronic ass Raven fans who say, well, I saw a Raven fan this morning say, well, we could just go get Joe Flacco and run it back. Oh, boy. Joe Flacco had more talent with the Jets last year, and look at what he did. But, yeah, sure, he going to run it back with the Ravens. Sure. Let's call Anquan Boldham and ask him, can he get back into that form he was in, those 6, 7, 8 years ago when we won that Super Bowl? Because some people still act like Joe Flacco won that Super Bowl 5 years ago. We won that in 2012, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what I never see? I never see none of these other teams disrespect their athletes by doing shit like, well, the Ravens won before Lamar. They can win without. I didn't see that happen with Kyler. I don't see that happen with all these other good quarterbacks. I don't see that happen with average quarterbacks. The Giants won before Daniel Jones. I didn't see nobody bring that shit up. It's just, I don't know the last time I saw a quarterback or a player really this talented treated like this by an organization that he saved. I done seen a lot of players do a lot less for an organization than what Lamar Jackson has done for the Baltimore Ravens. And they can try to deny it. They can give themselves all the credit in the world. They could try to make up these reasons as to why they are the reason they having this success. But we know. Lamar Jackson know. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame because, you know, people keep telling me the Ravens is a great organization. But let me ask you something. You don't pay Zadarius Smith. Then you don't pay Judon. Then you don't pay Mosley. Then you don't pay, what's my man's name? I can't remember my man's name at the moment, but just think about all the good players that the Ravens have chosen to not re-sign or give contracts to. And now you're about to not re-sign Lamar Jackson. Who are you paying, but you're willing to go pay other teams players, like a Marcus Peters, like a Marcus Williams, like a Calais Campbell. You go out, Derek Wolfe, terrible signing. They still did it. You signed Nelson Aguilar. So you're willing to go out there and sign other teams' players and give them good contracts. Take the Nelson Aguilar out of there. But you let your own great defensive players walk, all of which were needs, and now you about to let Lamar walk. Y'all keep giving this goddamn team an excuse for being this fucking cheap. What is the excuse for not being able to pay Lamar what he wants? It's not like you went out there and went and got a receiver. That's why I wish some of y'all would take critical thinking classes, because you hear one thing and you'll just buy off of what the, matter of fact, it's called bias hearing, selective hearing, really. Because you gonna dick ride the team regardless, it don't matter what you hear. As long as it if it support the team, you're gonna rock with it and you'll turn Lamar into a villain. I can't wait till the Baltimore Ravens are trash. I want this team to fucking suck based off of how they've done Lamar Jackson, bro. Because if you think that great quarterbacks just grow on trees because you some good head coach, John Harbaugh was a good head coach when they was missing the playoffs before Lamar Jackson. He was still about to be fired. It seems as though being a good coach don't really matter when you can't get them wins behind you. And it seems like getting them wins behind you don't really happen if you don't got a franchise quarterback, or at least a competent enough quarterback at the helm like Joe or a phenomenal defense on a yearly basis. But sure, I saw a thing today that said why the Ravens and the Packers are sick of Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. It's so strange to me. It's so strange to me that they could be tired of those two players. It's so strange to me. This is why I can't stand sports media. This is why an influx and a change need to happen. You got all these old heads on these sports networks, bro, who continuously take the side of these teams because they know people in the organization or they've been working with the organization for years. So to an extent, yeah, they showing a loyalty, but the disrespect, it's really not a loyalty because they showing a loyalty to a team and getting on TV and being dishonest to you. They're not giving you the real. They're not giving you the facts. They're not giving you an unbiased opinion. They are legitimately getting on TV and jacking off the teams. But hey, they'll say good things about certain retired players here and there, and they'll talk to certain players who they butter up, and you look past it. And that's wild to me. I can't understand it for the life of me. And like I said, don't feed me this thing about, oh, well, he don't deserve this and that. Deshaun Watson sitting there with a $240+ million guaranteed contract, bro. I might have to throw that Soulja Boy response in here to y'all talking. And yo, if you talking about you rather have $250 in food stamps and then have a dinner with Soulja Boy, I'm at the point, I already know y'all don't do too much critical thinking, but now I'm just starting to realize y'all, bro, 250 in food stamps, that sounds like a lot. How long do you think that's going to last? And tell me the other benefits. Excuse me. And tell me the other benefits that the 250 in food stamps going to get you besides the nourishment of your body with the foods and whatnot. Now, what's all the different things that could come from you having a dinner with Soulja Boy? Like, this is not the same thing that y'all was doing with the Jay-Z, like the $500,000. That's $500,000. Y'all literally just said 250 in food stamps, a conversation with a multimillionaire. Sometimes I feel like y'all ignorant just to be ignorant. Or sometimes maybe y'all really is just fucking stupid. I can't decide at this point. I really can't. The lines are so blurred. It's wild out here. However, when it comes to this Ravens situation, I'm interested to see, all the talking heads for the Ravens and all the different responses they have to see. I know I'll probably not really care too much about most of the responses because they're going to regurgitate the same bullshit. Oh, he need an agent. All the Ravens done built around him and they done this and they done that. It's funny that they never bring up none of the big names that they done, the Ravens done went out and got for Lamar Jackson. That's real funny. It's funny they never bring up the big spending item that they went out and did for Lamar Jackson. Because you could say, oh, well, they went out and spent on, Von Miller and, they went out and spent on Stephon Diggs. You could go say for Kyler, they went out and got Marquise Brown. They went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. For a lot of these other teams, you can look directly at the big piece where you could blame the quarterback a little bit. You could be a little bit more critical of the quarterback. Like, okay, man, you got to get this done because they went out and gotten you this and that. For Tua, they went out and gotten you Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. For Dak, we went out and got you Amari Cooper. We went out and got you CeeDee Lamb. We went out and got you now Brandon Cooks. You know what I'm saying? We expect to see some production for Kirk Cousins. We went out and got you Stephon Diggs. We went out and got you Adam Thielen. We went out and got you a Justin Jefferson, a Dalvin Cook. We expect a TJ Hawkinson. We expect to see some production. What if the Ravens went out and got... it's just so funny asking the question because it's like, I name all them names and, now I'm about to say we went out and got Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, Tylan Wallace, a retired Dez Bryant, a retired Deshaun Jackson, Rashad Bateman. What are we doing? It's laughable. But somehow, I literally saw a dude the other day use those names I just said as an excuse for Baltimore going out and getting Lamar Jackson help. It's so funny because usually I thought the way it usually works in life is when you do something so many different times and it's failed so many times, usually we come to the realization you're doing it wrong. We don't say that person, oh man, they really trying. We usually try to tell that person what they should do differently, what they can do better to improve on said thing. We don't keep seeing them fail and saying, man, that dude really trying, man. You'll get him next time doing it the same way. At what point do you realize the NFL is evolving around Baltimore, but yet they keep refusing to? They keep drafting receivers, and it's not as if, I would get it if you told me Baltimore was trying, because they draft receivers high in the draft. The reality is the highest pick they have drafted for a receiver was what, 26th or 24th? Now and this is the sad part. I do understand that there are great receivers that fall in the back end of the draft. Look at how many Baltimore has passed on to get bad receivers. Look at the fact that Baltimore have failed time and time again in the draft. That's not trying. That's failing at this point. There is an alternative to fixing that problem, and they refuse to take it because they are cheap. Because the Bills haven't hit with a receiver in the draft. So you know what they did? They said, we're going to speed this process up. We're going to go get a proven guy. We're getting Stephon Diggs. Every team can't beat the Vikings and draft not only as high as the Vikings have drafted those two receivers, but develop them the way they have. or the Bengals. Some teams get lucky and draft receivers like Jalen Waddle, but they also say, let's speed up the progression. Let's go trade for Tyreek Hill, a proven commodity. The Ravens have chosen to keep failing at one avenue and completely being cheap and ignoring the other. But y'all keep giving them an excuse for it. You keep giving them an excuse. And you wonder why Lamar Jackson is wanting out. I told you before, if I'm Lamar Jackson, it's career suicide to stay in Baltimore. It would make no sense to stay here, even if the money was right. Well, if it was about the money, why do you got a problem? Because a smart quarterback, a smart player who truly is about winning. And from everything I've seen from Lamar Jackson, this is a dude who really want to win a Super Bowl. Why would you stay in Baltimore? When you know who you're going to have to play against and the talent on those teams that you're going to have to play against is going to make it so that you have to be perfect every time. That's just an impossible task. Why would you re-sign with a team that wouldn't even go out and get you top-tier weapons when you were on a rookie contract? It would make no sense. You look across the conference. You see what the Bengals got for Joe Burrow. You see that the Deshaun Watson got Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore through trades. You see how great Pittsburgh draft receivers. You see how Miami went out and traded for receivers. You see the Bills. You see how the Chiefs continue. For one, you got to worry about that big dog on the center. But for two, you see how they keep going out trying to find pieces to put around Pat Mahomes. But you keep giving the Ravens an excuse for being cheap, for failing over and over again. And now, instead of giving proper blame where it's supposed to be put, you put it on Lamar. But like I said, once again, if he had the true talent around him that some of these other dudes had and he was just failing, because football already a tough job. I get that. That's why I really don't get at people that much anyways, because it's a tough job. Look at Josh Allen in that game a couple years ago. Did y'all give him more respect for losing than y'all give players for winning big games? You can play perfect and still lose a game. That's football. Lamar Jackson haven't even been put in a perfect situation. And people on the media will keep hopping on the media and keep hopping on TV saying, yeah, he been put in the perfect position. They done this, they done. I don't know if it's a media. It's a lot of things wrong with the media. But at this point, this consistent barrage of fake reporting by analysts on TV, making you believe one thing that is just absolutely not true. The Ravens done spent less than any team since Lamar done been in the NFL on receivers, on skill talent. Oh, they don't got the money. Why do they keep paying defensive players when you so very clearly need to go out and get help for Lamar? You know, John Harbaugh, I truly believe he do love Lamar. Lamar saved his job. Why wouldn't he? He make his job way easier. Why wouldn't he? He see the heart in the relationship. I done seen what he done been able to do with Lamar. But Lamar Jackson had to sit back and keep Greg Roman. See, and that's another thing. I heard somebody say one day, well, if Lamar Jackson really didn't want Greg Roman, he should have just went in there and told them that. That's weird that you say that because that's not his job to go in there and tell them that. That's John Harbaugh's job to understand that this dude is holding this team back at this point. Quarterback done outgrew him. How about we go get weapons and a new coordinator? Chose not to do that. It's funny how now all of this stuff is on Lamar Jackson. And you finding ways to take the blame that should be on everybody else and solely place it on Lamar Jackson. Oh, well, he quit on his team. Did his team quit on him? Because it's funny that you say he quit on his team, but I don't see people saying that the team quit on him. Based off of all the things they've done. It's an ugly business. But I'm happy that Lamar Jackson done requested a trade. I'm happy he gonna have the opportunity to get out of Baltimore. I'm happy he gonna had the opportunity to go play for a team that actually gonna utilize him the right way. Who're gonna actually build around him the right way. I could care less about the bitter ass Baltimore fans that's gonna talk trash to him on his way out. Care less about the goofy ass media that's gonna say a lot of things before the trade eventually happened. All I care about is him getting to another team and being great on that other team. I told you what, a year or 2 years ago, Lamar Jackson was not going to retire a Baltimore Raven. It was never going to happen. The signs was all over the wall. The problem is nobody sat down and reported all the things that the Ravens was doing wrong. They just kept telling you all the things Lamar don't do. And now you in this situation. Stupid ass Baltimore fans gonna blame Lamar. Real fans gonna blame the Ravens, because that's exactly what this is. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him. You can be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody today. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.